Hey guys, it's Jaden with Westhook Precision here. I was just going to show you how to go ahead and bed your scope base. This is something I've found to be super beneficial, not only for making sure that everything's straight, but it also makes sure that everything's staying tight and not coming loose on you while you're in the field. I do this on pretty much all scope bases that come in that aren't pinned. This one happens to be pinned, but the guy who previously Cerakoted this action didn't take the pins out whenever he Cerakoted it on the base, so they were kind of creating a little pinch point right here on the bottom. So it's easier to just pull them out, bed it, and be done with it. A little bit of what we need. So obviously you need your base and the screws. You need a tool, whatever you want to use, just a little Torx bit on my Fix-It 6 there. Just a little piece of cardboard, just scrap cardboard that you have. I like to use JB Weld for bedding bases. I use something else for bedding the rifles, but JB Weld's what I found to work really well for doing this. A couple toothpicks, some Q-tips, and then a release agent. I use Johnson's Paste Wax for my release agent, but there's a lot of other ones out there. One Shot, shoe polish, but there's a bunch of different things. I'm gonna start with just getting my Johnson's Paste Wax, or sorry, my JB Weld. I just go ahead and eyeball it. I know there are some guys who weigh it out, and it's probably the smarter option to go, but I haven't ever had any issues with just eyeballing it, and so every time I pull one off, I do check it and make sure everything's hardened up just fine. So that's what I would recommend doing. So they need to be equal parts. It's pretty darn good right there. Might be a little more black in there. There we go. So just put that on your cardboard. Then we're gonna go ahead and mix this all up. You want it to be a pretty even gray color throughout everything. And so I like to mix mine for, I don't know, 30 seconds, a minute, just pretty much making sure that I have that even gray color throughout the entire epoxy. You go different ways with it whenever you're doing it, just to make sure you're getting all the edges that might be kind of sitting out there stray. You want this all to harden evenly. That looks pretty good. Right there. So then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take my Johnson's Paste Wax, and so you're just going to apply this to the action, and you're going to apply it everywhere that you think that there could be epoxy touching it. This stuff's easy to clean off, so I'd put more rather than less. It's really just all this is going to be the only thing that releases your base off, so apply a good layer. So that looks good. I like to put a little bit right here on the front of the barrel too, just to make sure that if anything does get down there and we don't get to clean it up with the Q-tip while the epoxy's soft, at least we can still get it off afterwards. Okay, that looks good. So now we're to the base. So the key to this is trying to not get it in the screw holes. So going here. Right around the edges. And this is why I like to use a Q-tip. Some guys do use popsicle sticks for doing this, but the Q-tip or the toothpick really lets you get in there a little bit closer to those holes, and that way you're not making a mess. You don't want too much anywhere, so you can look at it and see how thick it is. Like right here is probably hard to see on camera, but you can see that there's thicker points on this side. This should be pretty close to the action as far as the specs go. So the lighter the layer you can get, the better it is. across here. Like I said, most of the time I don't do this if they're accepting pins, but with this not so great Cerakote job that was done to this action originally, it's just going to be a lot easier for me to do this than try to retrofit the pins, and then they're not the correct size, and there's Cerakote down into this base too, so I have to retrofit that too, and this is going to be a lot easier option. And honestly, I think it's just as strong. So I'm going to go through this, get all the epoxy on here, and then I'll bring it back before I put it on the action. All right, got all the epoxy on this base now. You can see I got a pretty even layer, and I'm keeping a little bit of room around the screw holes. Even if there isn't epoxy that runs down in there, that's still fine because we have a good layer all the way around these outsides. So that's gonna work out perfect. So now that I've got all that set, I go ahead and do one more layer of the Johnson's paste wax, just really making sure that everything's gonna be released whenever I wanna pull this base off. So run one more good layer through there, make sure you don't stick your hand in the epoxy like I just did. Just like that. All the way around the sides. And then when I do this, I'll go ahead and put a little on this screw in case any of that epoxy does wash over into the screw holes. There we go. All right. So now we're ready to put this on there. So we need to make sure we're going to put it the right way. On this action, or this base, we have a ejection port on this side, so I know that this side's going to be forward. And what we need to do is we need to line the scope base screws with the action screw, or with the scope base screw holes on the action. Just like that. And once you get it lined up there, you're going to try not to move it around as much as possible. Just a little bit to make sure it's lined up. Drop that screw in. I'm not even snugging it up yet, I'm just getting those threads started. You want to start all the threads before you start tightening anything, and that way it keeps from pushing any of that epoxy, if there is any epoxy that washes over, it keeps from pushing it over there. So as you can see, here's the final look. I've got everything cleaned out around these edges, into this mag port, all the way around the back side, front side. And so what I actually do is I leave it on. I don't actually take it off as soon as it hardens. My thought process behind that is it gives the action, or the scope base, a little more stick to the action and just a little more strength. You put that release agent on there, so if you do ever want to take it off, you have the ability to. There are guys that will go through and do it without any release agent at all, and then they know that it's never going to come loose. I've done a couple of my personal rifles like that. I just don't do custom rifles like that unless they request it. But it's pretty simple, easy process. There's no really magic with it. The only thing I will say is once it does harden all the way up, I will go ahead and torque it all the way down to the 20, or this one's got 8x40 screws, so I can do the 25 inch-pounds. But that's the last step in the process. I won't do that until tomorrow. I'll let this fully set up for 24 hours and then do that, so we're good to go. If you have any questions on that process or anything, obviously it's something that we offer at West Duck Precision, but if you're wanting to do it yourself and you had questions, just give us a call at 970-361-8291, or you can shoot me an email at info@westduckprecision.com. Thank you.